So when we're talking about exposure of the darkness and exposure of the disease and exposure of the distortions, the forces of a narcissist relationship, narcissist empath, when the empath says, wait a minute, this is inappropriate, be treated this way. Now that's an exposure, and if you've ever had this, especially with covert narcissists, they will explode and get violent and fight back in a way that you didn't even see possible. And all of a sudden, they're going to be throwing things at you. This hatred, this intense hatred against the light, against the very thing they need the most.
Timeline of torture. 0 point. The crimes that you have perpetrated against me are seemingly endless. Now that the illusion of your false persona has been broken, and your true infernal character has been revealed, any benefit of the doubt which I had heretofore foolishly extended to you may now and henceforth be considered as fully revoked. Today, I am shining a new light on the monster behind the mask in the unholy case of Catherine Me, the Cockroach Queen. I have employed the academic rigor of my education to pore through the extensive records that exist of communications between you and I. In the wake of dissolving the dream spell glam of your gaslight, the one where you had me believing you were a decent person, and not an abusive predator, your continued exploitation of my trust has become excruciatingly evident. The timeline of your crimes here, however, will be limited to the actions and events that have occurred from August until the present, where you continue to multiply your crimes without restraint. The prosecution's case against you begins with the 0.3-word gaslighting text that was sent by you to me in the middle of August, as I was under advisory evacuation and preparing for an inevitable mandatory evacuation order with yet another wildfire heading my direction and threatening to burn down my family home, laying all I own to desolation. Your message read, "You ignored me." The statement of fact that you provided here was untrue by any stretch, and confusing for me at the time, the which I communicated to you forthrightly. I now understand that what you had projected upon me here reveals the black seed of your textbook narcissistic injury around abandonment. For the case of the prosecution in this unholy matter, I submit that this 0-point message provides the evidence necessary to establish your apparent lack of object constancy, which is consistent with the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. To paraphrase my response to your gaslighting text, I said, "That's confusing. We've been texting all morning. The last message I sent you was 3 hours ago, asking a question for which I'm still waiting a response. I have been busy preparing for evacuation. I'm sorry." What follows next is taken from a message that I had sent to you on August 25th, wherein I had attempted to untangle my confusion concerning what had taken place between us in the week and a half or so following your 0-point text. I will demonstrate how, during this time, you manifested a textbook checklist of covert narcissistic emotionally abusive behavior, including such things as gaslighting, scapegoating, and Machiavellian manipulations, as perpetrations against my loving, trusting, innocent, and loyal heart. The message from August 25th begins, "You like to play it close to the vest, so I don't expect to ever know the honest truth about what is going on with you. That's what I've come to understand. But I don't have to play coy with the truth that is within my own experience. The way everything was handled this past weekend in regards to the evacuation is fucked up. And there's enough blame on both sides, so don't get your pointing finger all worked up. The blessing in it is that it has really helped me see what this zero connection disconnect is all about. I feel like I'm always chasing you to try and stay on the same page, and what I've noticed is that the page keeps turning before I get there. So, I guess that's my fault for not anticipating where you will jump ahead, or your fault for placing unreasonable expectations on your naively earnest other half, or maybe we can share the responsibility. Any way you slice it, it takes two. I had no way of knowing that the zero connection that you felt between us was due to your mental condition, which is chiefly characterized by a lack of empathy and makes you actually incapable of feeling a true connection with another human being. While you were busy shifting the blame, and accusing me of the crime for which you were guilty so that you could avoid taking responsibility, I was completely sold on your gaslight and unilaterally shouldered the burden of guilt and shame around this for years. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. When I know I'm confused, I do my best to gather the missing pieces of the puzzle so that I can make sense of what I am experiencing. It's an earnest process that is motivated by my heart's desire to have clarity in my life. So, just for the record, when I say I'm confused, it is not a ploy or manipulation, or some attempt to put you on trial and give you the third degree, as you have projected. Here, I am describing my experience of the signature confusion created by the brain fog of classic Machiavellian manipulation. By unconditionally offering you the benefit of the doubt, trusting that you would meet me in a space of earnest communication, I allowed you to fully take advantage of an unchallenged playing field. The record shows how you unfailingly took every opportunity to respond with nonsensical word salad answers, then turned everything around on me with Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, then blowing up in a rage and accusing me of rubbing your nose in it and putting you on trial should I summon the audacity to ask you for an explanation. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. In a caring relationship, one partner offers the other respect, trust, compassion, empathy as each takes their turn on the emotional seesaw. I only know this because it is what we have done for each other, until recently. For whatever reason, we have decided that neither of us merit the hallmarks of a caring relationship in respect to each other. I have since discovered that I was never in a caring relationship with you because you are incapable of caring about anything outside your own sick and parasitic desires. I now know that the things which I had found attractive in you were nothing more than the mask of mirroring that you used to conceal your true predatory nature. By this time you had allowed your mask to slip for me because you had, as I was about to learn, already moved into the devaluation phase of the disease, evil, and life-stealing cycle that defines your dysfunctional and vampirous ilk. Based on my newly found understanding of your pathology, it's also a sign that you had already begun grooming your next narcissistic supply feed bag and were preparing to discard me completely. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. Reading through the conversation thread only shows how, over and over, the choice is made to protect the wound instead of letting love in to heal it. I don't know how you can say things like, "You've been insulting me for days now and I've had enough of it." Can you provide at least one example? After all, you have multiple days worth of insults to choose from, so that I can understand what you mean by that. Oh. Sorry for putting you on trial there. But, honestly, do you even really believe that? On the other hand, well, let's just look at the record. Your manipulative words are insulting. Are you waiting for an invitation, or in true victim style have a made alternative arrangements? Now, what were those heartless insulting manipulations to which you were referring? I'm sorry for what you're going through. Whatever you need, if I can help, you can bet on it. I know I've been focused on what's in my immediate view to the exclusion of what you are dealing with, and I regret having been blind to the fear, loneliness, and pain you are feeling. My heart aches for you and my arms are empty without you. God. What an asshole. Well, can't say you didn't try, but nobody should have to put up with that. Here, we can see that I am outraged by your attempt to shift the blame. force a victim control narrative, and project your crimes on me with absolutely no respect for the truth, or the facts as they actually occurred, and no apparent awareness for the very real emotional harm that you were callously causing to the one you claim to love. This demonstrates the dismissive and disrespectful treatment that characterizes narcissistic devaluation, which is often accompanied by the telltale good guy versus bad guy smear campaign. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. I hope you are beginning to see the absurdity, reductio ad absurdum, of the double standard and the blind hypocrisy of it all. Or is the irony completely lost on you these days because it's getting in the way of your wound licking? If you need a monster so you can continue being a victim, then that just isn't going to work for me. I can hear you gasp. How could you say that? That's what you're doing to me, in true victim fashion. I have never accepted your ridiculous cool story about how you are my victim. It is, in fact, impossible because I am not a predator as you are. However, I can now see that you lack the capacity to assimilate the understanding that this is so, simply because it is beyond your ability to imagine that others do not share the sickness that allows you to so easily exploit people. The cognitive dissonance caused by your apparent blindness to the actually astounding double standard of your hypocrisies has brought me to the brink of cardio infarction several times since this 0 point because I hadn't yet figured out that you are a pathological liar. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. Speaking of which, might as well address the alternative arrangement scenario. First, it is incorrectly defined, since in order to be an alternative there must have been a primary. From the moment I received the mandatory evac notice, I had no intention of driving to your house and having your twisted angry mess pinned on me so we could both feel lonelier because we were together and I could spend another night cuddling the wall and hating myself. Projection. Nay, experience. In my recollection, this had felt to me as I had been trapped on the ledge of a burning building with no way of escape but to jump. Scanning the pavement 30 feet below me, I can see my beloved and she appears to have seen me. It seems as though she is prepared to break the perilous fall of her 500%. My love is pure, one and only beloved, at all costs, and so, trusting, I leapt. To my horror and dismay, I came crashing down upon the bone-breaking concrete and dazedly looked around in a confused stupor, searching for my true love who was surely nearby but was never found again. For all the times that I had played the knight in shining armor to your emotional rescue, I could not believe how you chose to treat me in my desperate moment of crisis. When I earnestly asked for you to offer me some clarity around why you acted this way, your responses were all more word salad answers that only confused me more. When I insisted that you were not answering the questions I had been asking you, I was met with your famous rage outbursts and accusations that I am giving you the third degree. What? It is only as a result of the expert testimony provided by Common Ego, and presented in La Reina Cucaracha de Oaxaca, that I have been able to make sense of this bizarre and, quite frankly, insane behavior so that I could categorize it as being consistent with a personality disorder that lacks emotional empathy. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. I tried to understand what the fuck your injury was about since Friday afternoon. You only offered explanations that literally made no sense. When I earnestly sought to understand WTF I did that really upset you, you attacked me for putting you on trial. While I have everything in my life that I could fit in my car because of an impending wildfire, not sure if I'll have a home left to which I may return, and all the emotional stress and fear that comes along with it, you smugly inform me that your Saturday is full with work and this 5-minute conversation is a waste of your time. Do you think that might have been insulting? Is that the kind of relationship you feel good about? Is it okay to treat each other that way? I'm assuming you're cool with it because the closest I've gotten from you to an apology is it's a shared responsibility thing. This was an incredibly painful, and sobering, slap in my face. In that moment, I could not begin to calculate on any scale known to man the level of outrage, disgust, and betrayal that I felt at your hand. This is when I first really began to take notice of the unbelievably rude, dismissive, and disrespectful way that you were apparently completely comfortable with treating me. You offered no apologies and admitted no wrongdoing, then proceeded to attack me with shame, blame, and accusations based on your twisted projections of me. It was shocking, to say the least. Gaslighting, scapegoating, manipulating. This establishes the 0 point in your timeline of torture concerning the innumerable crimes you have perpetrated against me, and further demonstrates that your behaviors, actions, and deeds, Catherine Mean, are consistent in only one thing, that is, narcissistic personality disorder and its accompanying patterns of emotional abuse. You ignored me. Scapegoat 0 point. Manipulating 0 point. Gaslighting. Scapegoating. Manipulating.
You sold everything for a wicked scheme and brought about your ruination. Yes, you defended total isolation. You had it all, but you fell from grace. Yeah, you're fraud and a con, with a crooked spine and a Saturn face. From the modern spine, where can you see? With nothing left, you got to find. God wrote you. God wrote you. With a crooked spine and a Saturn face.